Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to take a look at how we can create dialog box in PowerApp. So for this example, I have taken a reference from the Fluent UI dialog box control. You can see when I click on the button, it opened the dialog box and it has the two action button. One is primary and is secondary. So primary will be our main action. So this dialog box you might require when you need to, let's say you want to delete some items from the list. So you need some confirmation, right? In JavaScript also we have some alerts, but which is the by default. So this dialog box we are going to create inside Power Apps. So first thing we need to do, go to general settings and enable the modern controls so that we can get a better UI. So once the model control has been enabled, what you need to do, you need to go to display. If you are creating a responsive application, then you need to turn it off. If you are creating the fixed size application, you can turn it on. But this tutorial is basically for the responsive applications. So let's say I've turned it off. So let's add up one button here. So for this button, I'm going to select a text as open dialog. And then for the dialog box, we need a variable that will show and hide the dialog box. So for that, what I'm going to do, on click of this button, I'm going to create a variable that is update context, which is our local variable. I will name that variable as show dialog and it will be true. So once I click on that button, we need to show the dialog, and I'm going to copy the same formula, and let's say I'm going to paste this formula on app on start property. Oh, sorry, not on start. We are going to put it on visible property of the screen. So let's say initially when we open the screen, the dialog box should be hidden. So I'm going to make it as false. I'm going to take a variable, and for this label, I'm going to put that variable name loc show dialog. So as you can see, this is false. When I click on it, it should be true. So this is the first thing, very basic thing we did. To show the dialog, we need one container. So I am going to insert a container. And for this container, I am going to set a background color as black with, let's say, 60% opacity. Its X and Y will be 0 and width will be parent.width. So this is same for if you are building responsive app or you are building fixed app. The process is completely same, and the height will be parent.height. So in this container, what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert another container. So here, as you can see, we have one container which having the some overlay, and in that we have this box, right? Okay. So for this, I'm going to make a white color. Okay. So if you are building one app, responsive application, what we can do, we can just use the horizontal container, so it will be beneficial for us. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a horizontal container. So it's a responsive container. It will be helps a lot. Otherwise, we need to manually adjust the X and Y axis. So rather than doing that, I'm just going to do horizontal container. Its X will be 0. Y also will be 0. Width will be parent.width and height will be parent.height. Inside this container, I am going to create a normal container. As you can see, the container has been placed, but it is not visible. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make it as white, and we don't want the width and height same as the our parent container. So what I'm going to do, Here you can see the align in container. I'm going to make it at top. Now I will select the parent container, which is a horizontal container. I am going to make it center. If you want to make it center align vertically and horizontally, you can select the second option in the both justify and align. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select the horizontal will be center and vertically will be top, because I am going to add a little bit padding from the top. So once you select the main container, you go to top, padding, let's say 80. I will rename this container. So for the horizontal container, I generally do HCTR, H represent the horizontal. And for CTR, I use container, I use CTR. And for vertical container, I use VCTR, that means vertical container. So these are just the naming convention, which is a very good practice if you follow. Then you need to select our container, which is our dialog box, and you need to set it width to be, let's say I'm going to set a width as 500 for now. If I play this, then yeah, this will be fine. I'm just going to add a little bit height. So let's say it will be 250. Okay. Now in this container, I'm going to add a little bit shadow. So you can see we have the property called drop shadow. So just to, I'm like to make it as, let's say, bold. You can see a little drop shadow has been added. So if I click on none, you can see there is no shadow. If I click on bold, then it will be added one shadow. So it will just give a 3D effect, and for UI perspective also it looks nice. So in modern control or the recent updates, if you add any container, you get a border radius by default. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select these containers, and I'm just going to make border radius at 0. And for this one as well, I'm going to make a border radius at 0. If you want a rounded border, you can do it. Now for this container, I am going to use a text label, and here to make it completely responsive, I am going to make it width set parent.width. Its x will be 0, y will be 12. So generally I use 12 points padding and make it center align. The text will be, let's say you are deleting an item from a gallery. So what it will be, do you want to delete this item, and a question mark. The font weight will be semi bold. We will just copy it from here. So what we have one heading title. So let's say the heading will be delete item. It is left aligned. I will give a padding from left. So let's say it will be 12. And from top also, I am going to make it 12. Or we can say 24. And here also we can use 24. The font size will be, let's say 16. This is the heading. And font weight will be bold. Then we have one sub headline. I'm just going to copy this, and here I will just put, are you really, let's say, are you sure you want to delete this item? So for this I will make a font size of 14. Font weight will be regular, and for both of these labels I am going to make it as auto height. Then we have the one heading, we have one subheading, then we need two action icons, sorry, action buttons. I'm going to use button. So the first button will say yes, delete, and the next button will say no, cancel. So the primary button should be in our primary color, that is blue, or whatever the theme you have applied in your PowerApps. For my secondary button, I'll make it as type will be secondary. And you can see all these buttons are at the bottom right corner. So I'm just going to select these. I'm going to make it as bottom. So as you can see, there is a lot of gap. So I will reduce the height. So see when see what happens when I reduce the height. So let's say I make it 200. You can see the buttons are not aligned automatically based on the height. So what we are going to do, we are going to select these buttons from the layers panel. I am going to select their Y position, and here what I am going to do, I am going to use parent dot height minus self dot height minus 24. So now it will align automatically whatever the height will be. So let's say if I make a height of, let's say any random height, let's say 625. So as you can see, it is automatically aligned with our height. So when you are working in the responsive Power Apps, you have to manually adjust all these things. So I will make it height as 200, let's say. For these two things, for headline and subheadline, we don't need to manually, we don't need to manage them like according to y-axis because they are on the top only. Okay, so this dialog box we have done, and we have to show and hide based on the button click. So if I click on yes, then also we need to hide. If I click on no, then also we need to hide once the function is done. So let's say on click of yes button, you have some functions, and on select of both these buttons, we are going to update context that variable, and we are going to set it as true. So let's see. I will click on no. I will click on no. Let's say if its value changes or not. Okay, that will be false. Okay, here is, as you can see, we have taken that variable. When I click on no, it goes to false. Now the logic is working. So the true and false we have done. The last thing we need to do, we have to select this horizontal container. We have to go to its visible property and just write that variable name here. Yeah, so we have done here. When I play the app, when I click on open dialog, it will open the dialog. When I click on yes, then it will hide it. When I click on no, it will hide it again. So similar kind of UI we have achieved here. You can see. So make sure that you have to write this dialog box function at the very top or at the very end. Let's say if you have the functions, like you are patching the data in the list, you are deleting anything from that list, right? So you need to write the formula first, and then you need to hide the dialog box or whatever you prefer. Like you have to do error handling, you can do that. So this is general formula. Let's say for yes delete, I'm just going to notify that item deleted. I will add one emoji. Let's say check. Then the notification type will be success. And same notify function I'm going to copy. I'm going to click on no cancel button, and here I'm just changing it delete cancelled. So generally we don't show, like when we click on cancel, we don't show any notification. This is just for a demo purpose to show you how these things works. Let's say I'm going to use cross. Okay, let's save our app first. Click on play. If I click on no, delete has been cancelled. Open dialog again. I will click on yes. The item has been deleted notification. So as you can see, this is really simple, and how quickly we have built our dialog box inside our Power Apps. So if you have any doubts or concern, you can let me know in comments. Thank you.